Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And today we got some new information about the PlayStation 5 that has fans just a little bit concerned. The question though is, should they be? So don't go anywhere, and we will go over that here in just a moment. Also, Microsoft may be teasing more Xbox Studio acquisitions. Yet even after bringing in 9 new studios over the last 3 years, it doesn't appear they're ready to stop just yet. Before we talk about that though, let's talk about some of the other things that are happening across the game industry, and we do have a lot to go over today. Yeah, so do you remember that Kena Bridge of the Spirits game that showed up during the PlayStation 5 event? Well, it's actually one of my most anticipated games that they have shown so far for the PlayStation 5. I mean, it looks absolutely gorgeous and really shows you what next generation technology can do. I know some fans are only into more gritty games, but this does look like it's coming from a Pixar or DreamWorks movie. It really was very impressive. Well, today they announced that Kena will get a free upgrade for the PlayStation 5 if you buy it on the PlayStation 4. Yeah, so apparently this game is a cross-generation title. I didn't even know that. I did know that it was a timed exclusive, but I guess it's also a cross-generation game, so this is just good news all around. I am interested to see how good this game looks on the PlayStation 4 though, because it truly does look phenomenal on the PlayStation 5, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Also, the Embracer Group, aka THQ Nordic, has once again acquired another studio. They just keep gobbling them up, and this time they got a big one. 4A Games is now officially under the Embracer Group umbrella. 4A Games is the developer behind the gripping Metro franchise, which has done pretty well over the years. They are a very talented developer. They know how to build interesting worlds, good stories, and the gameplay to back it up. So this is a big win for the Embracer Group. They even gave us a tease on what they're working on next. If you like the Metro franchise, they are working on a new Metro game, though it is a multiplayer game. I don't know how that will work out just yet, considering how focused this franchise has been on the story. I mean, it's actually based off books, so I will be very curious to see how this multiplayer game works out. Now, that's not all they're working on, because they also have a big AAA single-player game in development. So really, you're getting the best of both worlds here. You're going to get a multiplayer game, but you're also going to get a brand new single-player experience, so everybody should be relatively happy. If you really think about it though, the Embracer Group is becoming a behemoth. They have more than 30 studios, which is crazy to think about. They also gave a quick update on Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, which has now sold 1 million copies worldwide. This is fantastic news, and personally, I like this game a lot. I can honestly say that I don't think the review scores reflect just how good this game actually is. It's one of the better 3D platformers, so if you like those type of games, I would definitely recommend it. And speaking of sales, one surprise hit here recently has been the odd but charming battle royale game, Fall Guys. Now this is a game that has just exploded into popularity, but just how successful has it been? Well, it's actually Devolver Digital's biggest launch ever, and within its first week it sold more than 2 million copies on Steam alone. And that's not even considering the massive numbers it's pulling on the PlayStation 4. It's now been confirmed that there are 8.1 million players playing Fall Guys on the PlayStation 4. Of course, it did launch into PlayStation Plus, but I think that is a brilliant marketing move. This reminds me a lot of the Rocket League launch, where it launched into PlayStation Plus. And yeah, look how successful that game is. It's now one of the biggest games on the entire market. And then we also need to keep in mind that Fall Guys is only available on the PC and PlayStation 4 so far, and the developers have expressed interest in bringing it to other platforms as well. So yeah, I think it's safe to assume it will be available on the Switch and Xbox at some point later on down the road, and then this game is really going to explode. So big congrats to Devolver Digital and Mediatonic for all of their success. Now with some of the quick news out of the way, let's move on to some of the bigger stuff, and we have to talk about the PlayStation 5. There are a couple of things to talk about, one being more exclusive deals with third-party developers. Yes, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan took to Twitter and had this to say. As I have said many times, our first goal for the next generation is to provide agreements that will make our consumers feel special. Spider-Man was just the beginning. Stay tuned for more. And there it is. Of course, he is talking about Spider-Man being exclusive for the PlayStation in Avengers, so he isn't just talking about games here, but also exclusive content for third-party games. They have done that in the past with things like Call of Duty having an entire game mode be exclusive to PlayStation for a whole year. And then you had Destiny, which had a lot of exclusive PlayStation content as well. I'm personally not a big fan of these type of moves, no matter who does it, where you lock content to one platform, but it must be working or else they wouldn't continue to do this. Now, as for timed exclusive games, this does line up with what insiders have been saying recently, that PlayStation has locked up some major third-party timed exclusive deals. It's heavily rumored that Final Fantasy XVI will be one of these timed exclusives, and then there is also Silent Hills, which apparently is rumored to be happening as well. Really though, if we go back and take a look at the PlayStation 5 reveal conference, they did have a lot of timed exclusives. This included Kena Bridge of Spirits, Project Athia, Deathloop, Ghostwire, and Godfall, among several others. So absolutely do expect this to continue, and there will probably be some major timed exclusives announced soon. Stick with this channel though, and I will keep you up to date on what these games are though, because Sony doesn't usually make it very transparent on what games are full exclusive or a timed exclusive. I will ask you though, do you like when Xbox or PlayStation gets a big timed exclusive? Both of them certainly seems to be opening up their wallets early in the generation, so let me know if you like these type of moves in the comments below. That wasn't all though, because we have a big leak to talk about. The well-respected insider Dust Golem gave an update on the PlayStation 5 and some of the struggles developers are having with the console. Now, before we talk about this, Dust Golem has proven to be a trustworthy insider, leaking several things in the past which have been very accurate. He obviously has a source within Capcom at the very least, but as always, you can take this news with a grain of salt until proven otherwise. Let's get into it though, because he is claiming that multiple developers have told him that the PlayStation 5 struggles with 4K games. Last week, he did say that Resident Evil 8 was struggling with this, and the Xbox Series X was not. Now though, he is once again saying something similar, but says it's coming from multiple developers this time, and that fans should prepare themselves for a lot of fake 4K games on the PlayStation 5. What exactly does that mean though? Well, it means that the PlayStation 5 will more than likely have to do the 4K checkerboarding method, where it's not true 4K. 4K checkerboarding is basically a game running in 1440p, and then it renders that at a higher resolution, being 4K. That's what he means when he says that they will run at a fake 4K. With that said, checkerboarding has been a thing that Sony has used a lot with the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it does yield pretty good results, though there is still a noticeable difference between true 4K and 4K checkerboarding. Now, this may not matter to everybody, but in terms of a power difference between the Series X and the PlayStation 5, it does sound like that there is going to be a noticeable difference next generation when it comes to third-party games. This shouldn't be overly surprising as the Series X does have more raw power, but this may be surprising for some fans. I think most of us were expecting true 4K in pretty much most games next generation. To hear that may not be the case is not a great sign, but not the end of the world either. Granted, you do have to remember that games will be more demanding and have things like ray tracing, so pixels aren't everything. I mean, if you look at this Spider-Man picture side by side, you can clearly tell the difference between the PlayStation 5 version and the PlayStation 4. That's what ray tracing can do with the game, and that's something I keep saying. Ray tracing will be the most noticeable change in terms of visuals next generation. What do you think though? Does this disappoint you at all, or no? Let me know in the comments below. And for our last topic of the day, Microsoft may be hinting at more Xbox Game Studios acquisitions. In a recent fiscal annual report, Microsoft had something very interesting to tell their investors when talking about gaming. They said that they continue to invest in new gaming studios and content to expand their IP roadmap and leverage new content creators. Now, this can be read in two different ways. It could mean that they're investing in their current studios, which is true. Microsoft has expanded a lot, or pretty much with all of their studios. They've hired a lot of new people, as several of their studios are looking to make big AAA games for the Xbox Series X. Though they are using the words new gaming studios here. And well, their most recent acquisition happened over 1 year ago. So is that really considered new by this point? I mean, we do know for a fact that Xbox wants to acquire more studios. Phil Spencer has said this himself, and we know they want a Japanese studio. There was reports earlier this year that they were also looking into a Poland studio, and even within the last couple of months, they've expressed interest in Warner Brothers, which would be a massive acquisition. So with Microsoft letting investors know that they are investing in new game studios, could they be planning to make an acquisition soon? I'm not so sure yet, but there is a lot of smoke with something happening. At the very least, Microsoft is interested in having more studios, which makes perfect sense. Xbox Game Pass is very important to Xbox, and they need first-party studios to release more content for Xbox Game Pass. They even note that in this report, so there could be something happening behind the scenes. As to what studios, I'm not sure. A few studios that comes to mind is Asobo, which is working on Flight Sim, you have Bloober Team, which has the Medium, and that's coming to the Series X, and even Dlala Games, which just finished up with Battletoads. Seriously, that game just looks phenomenal. I can't wait, only 1 week to go. They could try to pick up one of them, or who knows, maybe they do get Warner Brothers. Microsoft certainly has the money to do that, so I guess we'll have to see what happens. I'm not sure if we'll get a new announcement anytime soon, but it does sound like that they're talking to studios behind the scenes at the very least. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you would like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.